Oh, hi! Hello, everyone. Welcome to a surprise Sunday stream of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show. And I think I just drooled all over everything. What a way to start off a show, right? Yes, a surprise Sunday stream. I was sitting around at home. Weather is awful. Awful. Where I am located in the great white northern country known as Canada. And, doing stuff, just doing things around the house. Thinking about having wrestling on the brain. Thinking about all sorts of stuff. Thinking about Crown Jewel. Thinking about NXT. And I was like, man, I should just jump on stream and do something. Just go ahead and do something. I figured, why not? Why not just jump on to YouTube and just pick out a topic or two or three and just have a little blast with it. Have some fun. Why not? It's Sunday, and I'm not especially prepared. Like, I like to prepare more thoroughly when I go and do my usual streams. But no, here is very loose, very open, very new. We're gonna just sit around and chat wrestling. But most importantly, we're gonna take the opportunity this Sunday afternoon to appreciate the quality and talent, or the quality of the talent, both, or quality as a human being and quality as a talent of one Candice LeRae. We're going to sit around. We're going to look at some career highlights. I've got some stuff lined up from YouTube. I'm going to sit around and watch that. It'll be fun. I think it'll be interesting. It'll be cool. We have some people in the chat as well, so that's really cool. Shout outs to everyone. We got Wilfred looking, making sure everyone is being nice and clean and fun. We got Bob Aruski here, JPQ, Metal 2006, Jacob. More and more people will certainly be streaming in because, hot damn, who doesn't want to appreciate Candice LeRae? Am I right? Am I right? But before we jump in, and just, to let people sort of stream in, and if we, come to think of it, if we want more people in here, chatting, having a good time, well, why don't you tweet this link out? Just hit the share button. Tweet it out. Send it over on Facebook. Invite your friends. Like, DM them directly. Say, hey, buddy. Hey, friend. Why don't you come over and chat some wrestling? And maybe your friend will be like, I don't watch wrestling. And you can tell them, it doesn't matter. Because it doesn't. We're just going to have a good time. Just enjoy stuff. So if you wouldn't mind, tweeting this out, a thumbs up always works as well. It's fantastic. Tell people about it. That'll be great. Get more people in here. But first, before we actually get into chatting about ye old Candice, let's talk about Crown Jewel. Actually, I don't want to talk about Crown Jewel and about its stuff. I want to talk about the aftermath because I didn't watch it. I didn't watch Crown Jewel. I decided to keep that out of my vision. I don't feel compelled to watch it for numerous reasons, and this isn't necessarily the spot to go over them. This is a nice, friendly Sunday afternoon stream, but the aftermath of the show is fascinating in ways that I honestly don't understand. I don't understand some of the decisions that were made. We're going to talk about the elephant in the room to begin with. First and foremost, Brock Lesnar becoming Universal Champion again? That just boggles my mind, folks. I do not understand what the plan is behind it. Just when we thought that we were rid of his presence, there's a couple of things. This is what I don't understand. First and foremost, I don't understand why they don't see Braun Strowman as their top dog yet. And feel free to jump in, chat, if you have any opinions on this. I don't understand how at this point they won't put a title, any title, on Braun Strowman. Oh, they gave him the tag team titles. No, they didn't. That doesn't count. Why? Hey, how you doing, Tim? Why? Braun is a guy who works really, really well as a heel. I think at this point it was really clear, as a face, excuse me. I think it was really, really clear at this point that the reason why that WWE decided to put him as a heel was strictly to get Roman over as a face. Because look at what happened. Roman has to go out because of his medical condition, because of his issues. He leaves, and what do? Instantly, they flip him right back. Flip him right back to being a babyface, where he works well because he's over. WWE audience loves Braun Strowman. He's a big guy, strong, does these feats of strength that that's what made him famous ultimately. Why is he not top guy yet? Some would even argue that maybe his ship has sailed a little bit. They should have put the title on him earlier, which I have a tendency to agree with. He should have been the guy to take it off Brock, when they were having their feud, because he was really at the peak of his babyfaceness around there. It was around that time that he had pulled down the rigging on top of Brock Paul Heyman wasn't there, but he did bring the rigging down. That was fantastic stuff. And he always gets really good audience reactions. People love him. And I personally, I think I like him better as a big baby face. His offense is more fun. It's more explosive. So it's that's my first thought right there. Don't know why they didn't put it on Braun to begin with. Second of all, the only other reason that I can think about them putting it on Brock to get some short-term gain is for that sweet, delicious, sultry, syrupy mainstream media attention. That's the only other thing that I can think of. And if you believe the rumors that Brock's fight with Cormier over in UFC is going to be in January, then it kind of makes sense in a purely marketing PR way to put the title back on Brock and let him go do his fight, and where he does come in as WWE champion and perhaps leaves as a dual champion. You never know. That's so weird. Maybe the plan is to have him drop the title to Braun as well. I'll get them sorted out, Brock and Braun. Maybe the plan is just to draw this storyline out a little more and have him eventually drop the title to Braun, like actually build a feud with Braun. But then again, the first match that they announced for Brock is a non-title match over at Survivor Series. It's really weird. There were such weird decisions on that level, but I'm kind of hoping that they will build this into some sort of storyline. Like, what if Brock goes on another reign of terror and he holds the title till WrestleMania? And let's assume that Roman is out for all this period. Would they strap it on Seth? Seth is very much deserving of being top guy as well, if not more so maybe than Braun. Maybe they're just saving this for Seth. Maybe they're building up a Seth as being the only guy who can take Brock down, which would be cool. I don't know. It's just a very, very strange booking decision, and one that did not resonate well with WWE faithful. Really didn't. What's going on, Chad? Jacob says, Jacob says, Crown Jewel, I saw it. In my opinion, it was the worst pay-per-view so far in 2018. Worse than Backlash, because Backlash was shitty. That was a bad pay-per-view. Tim says, Brock being a champ is a joke. I love to see Braun being that champ. I heard Brock got 2 more matches before he goes to UFC. That could be. One of his 2 matches is non-title. Then again, his non-title match is going to be against AJ Styles. If you remember the match that they had, was it earlier this year? When was AJ Styles versus Brock? Or was it last year at Survivor Series? It was at Survivor Series last year. It was probably... My timeline is a bit messed up. Apologies if that's not exactly right. I'm sure you good folks in chat will be able to correct me. But I'm all for watching AJ Styles and Brock Lesnar go at it again. Quite probably that was Brock's best match during his Universal title reign of terror over the last year. That was a really, really good match. So I'm all for both of them going at it again. Timothy Farley says, this show was the last straw for me to not watch main roster anymore. Well, there's a lot of people who feel the way you do, Timothy, and I understand. It's really, really hard these days to not feel cynical about WWE. For the past 2 months or so, they've been making some very, very questionable decisions, and it's really difficult to not feel they're making it really, really hard for us not to feel alienated over the decisions they've been making. And I'm not just talking about going to Saudi Arabia. I'm talking about the way they treat their women, the way they book their women, I should say, not treat their women, but the way they book their women's division, the way they didn't properly promote Evolution despite it being one of their top 2 best pay-per-views of the year. And I completely understand, people who decided to unsubscribe to just from the WWE network. I understand people who decided not to follow through on watching main roster. These are all things that make sense to me. In the way that I get that people are disillusioned. They're not endearing themselves these days with their main roster choices, at least on Raw. SmackDown's been quite better. I'm not going to talk about NXT. I mean, NXT is a golden trove of bliss and enjoyment. Yeah, so that's one thing about the Universal title situation that I'm not quite understanding where they're going with this. I will be curious to see what happens on Raw. And for those of you who have decided not to watch main roster anymore, please come watch my recaps, which I do every Monday after the show. I do them live at about, a half hour later, about 11:30ish. So if you don't want to watch Raw, but you still want to know what's going on, come see your boy, Warren Hayes. Subscribe. The other thing that, of course, was extremely puzzling was Shane McMahon winning the WWE World Cup of Best in the World Wrestling. That, friends, is the most bizarre booking outside of anything Vince Russo has ever come up with. This was weird. You have a guy, he didn't even. Let's talk about this in kayfabe to begin with, all right? Because just in the kayfabe situation, none of this makes sense. Why did Shane didn't qualify, and he didn't compete earlier in the evening? He didn't have one match. He didn't have 2 matches like everyone else. He just slid into the finals. What? What kind of governing body overlooks the WWE Cup, folks? I think we need the FIFA equivalent for the WWE World Cup now. Because look, they're running roughshod. But it's so weird, and like I didn't watch the show. So did people pop when Shane won? Did the audience respond highly to it? Like, I know it was Miz and Dolph who were in the at the end here. Why? And I get it. I think the from what I understand, the storyline was that Miz was trying to weasel out of the ending because if he didn't of the finals, because if he didn't lose, then he'd never lost his job in the first place. I think that was the storyline. The question here is, why didn't you just give it to Dolph? It's so baffling. Just give it to Dolph. It was a bad decision on Shane McMahon's end, and it should have come across. It should have played out that way. Then you get a much more interesting angle when you go over to SmackDown, because then the SmackDown locker room could be pissed at Shane McMahon for doing this. They could go over to Paige and say, look, I don't know what Shane's doing, but he had no right to go put himself there in that match. And Paige could be stroke. She probably wouldn't stroke her beard, but, let's assume that when she go, maybe you're right. And then you could develop something from that point on, but having Shane McMahon just come out and win that's just, it boggles the imagination. I don't understand it. It's really strange. Anyway, so I don't. So those are my thoughts on the aftermath of Crown Jewel. Nothing else really of exception happened, but I'm really, really curious to see how these two things are going to play out. Maybe they have something up their sleeves that'll just blow our minds. But then again, maybe not. All right. Let's move on to our main event. Let's start talking about Candice LeRae. I'm going to tell you guys where the genesis of this idea came. For those of you who watch my 205 Live NXT recap show, such as Tim Traver in the chat, he's a regular. Over on FightfulSelect.com, go ahead, subscribe, $5 a month. I've been discussing throughout the entire series of recaps that I've done how Candice LeRae has been misused by NXT. And this isn't something that I say a lot about NXT because I have faith in NXT creative. I really do. As opposed to the Raw side, which I don't know what they're thinking about sometimes, if they're thinking at all. But in this case here, as far as NXT goes, I give them all the benefit of the doubt. Even when I don't understand what they're doing at some point, I'm like, okay, well, usually these things make sense. They course correct. Just look at what they did when Aleister Black got injured. They decided to make lemonade out of lemons, folks. Aleister's out. Let's keep him in a prominent position. Let's make a whodunit out of this situation while he goes and heals off his groin injury or gets surgery. I don't remember if he requested surgery, if he required surgery. Probably not, because he would have been out longer. But the point is that they created this whole. They took this terrible situation because they were building to a triple threat match at TakeOver in August. Aleister gets injured. What do? Oh, well, someone knocked Aleister Black out, so he remains at the forefront. We talk about him every week. We don't forget him. Created a whole a mystery within NXT, which was a lot of fun. I thought it was a cool storyline. Well executed. I still think Cassius Ohno is the guy who did it. It's not Johnny. I think Johnny's taking advantage of a situation. Anyway, going off on a tangent here, but the point is most of the time when there's stuff that happens and I don't quite understand, things sort of swerve. They sort of course correct and everything makes sense. Candice LeRae arrives. She gets signed. Everyone's excited. I'm excited. You're excited. Your mom's excited. She just doesn't realize it yet. And they bring her on board but she's immediately placed with Johnny Gargano, her real life husband, and that's fine. They include her into the Ciampa angle, to sort of help create the idea of how personal this situation is. And I'm okay with that as well. But ever since that time, she's been positioned as Johnny Gargano's wife. And that's kind of it. Actually, it's a lot insulting. It's borderline misogynist. It's not cool to have her identity be justified, not justified, but that her identity be based on who she's dating or who she's married to. That's something I don't believe in. And plus, they had her do some of the stupidest shit during that angle. If you will all recall that moment where Johnny ran to the ring to confront Tommaso Ciampa, who was in the ring, and Tommaso sort of knocks Johnny into the ropes, and Candice is on the apron, and Johnny knocks her off, and she falls and bumps onto the ramp, and she passes out. And they get officials in to come check on her, and she's knocked out cold, and Johnny's like, oh my God. God damn it, she's a wrestler. I still don't understand it. Not only is she a wrestler, but she's a tough wrestler. She's kicked people with thumbtacks in her feet, god damn it. You're not gonna make me believe that she takes a bump off the ring apron and suddenly she's Miss Elizabeth? Sheesh. That really frustrated me. And they haven't really broken her out of the Gargano umbrella. Just this week on NXT, she came to the ring to confront Nikki Cross because Nikki Cross told Aleister that it's Johnny Gargano who knocked him out. And just like, you're ruining other people's lives. Why is she coming again to his defense? She needs to do her own thing. At some point this summer, I thought that's where they were going. She had an angle, and she said literally to the camera or to the person she was talking to, look, Johnny has to go do his thing. I have to concentrate on my career. And I was like, bravo. About time. This is what we need to do. But no. Then they start showing them together again, holding hands. Her match with Lacey Evans, the last match that she had, Lacey Evans calls her out for being a bad wife, for not standing by her man. Like, oh my God. So, with all this pent-up frustration, I decided that we should sit around and we should watch a few career highlights, some moments that I was able to pick off of YouTube, especially thanks to our good friend, Amy O, who hangs out on Twitter. I think her Twitter handle is Phoenix NJPW, right? That's what, let me just double check here. Phoenix NJPW. You go follow her on Twitter. She's a fantastic, super fun member of wrestling Twitter. She's super involved. She has all sorts of conversations, very positive force as well. So go follow her on Twitter. She actually tweeted to me this week when I was in despair about Candice's position. She decided to return some of her career highlights. I said, oh wow, okay, these are cool, and I think we're gonna pull up a couple here. We're gonna look at them together, because why not? Because that's what we're here for. That's the main event, to remind ourselves just how great Candice LeRae really is. So first and foremost here, I'm gonna pull up. We're gonna start with a highlight reel. I'm gonna make sure that I have the right one. Let's see. There we go. Highlights. Just like that. And pull it up here. There we go. And I'll move over here. See how clever this is? So we're going to start up this video here of some highlights of Candice LeRae's career. Talking about moves and stuff. Hope the audio's okay, folks. If the audio's too low or too loud, let me know in the chat. There we go. Of course, Candice is mostly known for, well, not mostly known, but I mean, she's been a proponent of intergender wrestling. The number of dudes she's beat up, I think she's defeated more guys than women. Look at that. Those kind of look like the Young Bucks, right? And here she is with Kevin Owens. And a nice stunner. Look at that. A nice stunner to Kevin Owens. Going up to the top rope here. Look at that. Wow. Now that was a pretty Hurricane Rana. That was fantastic. Look at that. I wouldn't even know how to call that. Oh, now she's up top. The Death Valley driver right on the guy. And I like how the other guy was like, no, I don't want her. I don't want Candice LeRae in. Oh, is that Chuck Taylor? Is that Chucky T? Wilfred, is that Chucky T? And the cutest slam. Because she was teamed with Joey Ryan, right? The world's cutest tag team. Did that for a while. Oh, man. Those strikes are bananas. And then I remember the strikes she was delivering on Lacey Evans a couple of weeks ago, and they did not have the impact that they had here. Wow. Dive into a tornado DDT. That was crazy. Look at that. Her Ranas are perfect. Wrestling with Candice LeRae did wonders for Joey Ryan's career, didn't it? I'm being facetious. That's fantastic. Is this from the match? We're going to be watching that match, her match against Johnny Gargano. I wonder if it's the same one. I don't think so. The audio's a little low. That should probably be a little better.
Candice charging for the corner. Bypass. She goes over the middle. Head scissors takes him down. Rolled all the way through.
Yeah.
Went for the kick to the face. Johnny Gargano rolls her through. Went for the kick. Candice ducks. Goes for the ball flex. Johnny Gargano reverses.
Wow. Wow.
Gargano reverses. A very fast exchange here.
That's crazy. Do you imagine? Do you realize we'd have that potential to have that in NXT right now? If WWE would be willing to pull the trigger on intergender wrestling. Now, I'm just going to throw this out there. You know, recently they've done a couple of situations where we ended up with both male and female wrestlers in the same ring together, and Full Sail gets excited, and you know, like when they had Tommaso Ciampa and Velveteen Dream face off, and then Nikki Cross came in. Full Sail immediately started chanting triple threat. Do you think they might be? I'm asking you this, chat. Do you think that NXT might just be testing the waters a little bit, seeing if they can't find, maybe they'll be able to find, or just see if people would be open to it, to some intergender wrestling? I wonder what you think. I mean, as opposed as to whether they'll do it or not, I think they might be testing the waters. Look at that.
seat in the front row, knock somebody off. Why not?
Candice with the deadly driver, assistant swinging DDT.
That's it.
It's beautiful stuff.
Have experience with the champions. They were in that three-way title match at the Battle of Los Angeles earlier today.
Is that Christopher Daniels?
In the center of the ring, Candice LeRae.
They'll choke her out right here. This is over.
And look at that for a moment.
She was even taken by surprised by that.
And Gargano makes it pay.
Yeah, contrary to what people might think, that probably doesn't
It
hurt.
doesn't feel good for anybody.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt any less for girls.
Now, thank you for pointing that out, commentary team, that it's just as painful to be crotched on a top rope for dudes than it is for girls.
Maybe
Of course, it'll hurt anyone.
something, I'm not sure what, off the top. Candice, oh, look at that.
Look at her go. Look.
Not afraid to punch him.
Round of
I mean,
Johnny
as far as being a couple goes, this. Oh! What a bump she took!
Candice offering a handshake.
Can we look at that again?
He was just as impressed.
Hang on a second. Wait a minute.
Off her guard a little bit.
Oh, what just happened? What just happened to the feed? Hang on a second. Sorry about that. I just want to see that crazy bump she took.
Right hand,
One more time.
Not afraid to punch him.
round of Johnny Gargano's head. She didn't even hit the turnbuckle. Candice,
Wow.
I think she was just as impressed.
This is Rich Swann, I believe.
Maybe taking off her guard a little bit.
Oh, man. She is not afraid of anything.
You know, this crowd doesn't like it, but it's actually really smart. I mean,
This is the Battle of Los Angeles. This is
Their team name is Colstein Cole, but they should really be called Team Son of a Bitch.
Yeah.
Because that's what they're acting like right now.
These guys are
And look at that.
to doing it dirty. They are
Our last matchup,
Kevin Steen calling shots.
an exhibition, and that looks like what they're doing right here as well.
instead of the butt, he got her with the dick butt. Surf dick butt in the ring. Dick butt.
That's great heat. I mean, look at that. People did not go for it. Can you imagine you're in the ring and your husband's giving you... Your husband is extending his hand out. It's like, let's do, fair play. And she doesn't trust him enough. She just slaps him across the face.
Gargano up to his feet.
That's got to relieve so much tension when you're back at home doing that kind of stuff. I think all couples should wrestle each other.
Candice hits the rope. Tope suicida.
That was a nice tope. Look at that.
Now she's ready. She's gonna.
she's telling them, come on, motherfuckers.
What? What?
Triple super kick, straight jacket, German suplex.
She's like, oh yeah, mom's gonna punch your face a bunch of times.
Bunch of elbows in the.
I mean, you guys know
She is going to work on.
Candice LeRae is tougher than you was a thing. Those were the T-shirts that she'd sell. And I mean, you look at this stuff. You look. I like this highlight reel because it's not only stuff that she did, but the crazy ass bumps that she took, the strikes she'd absorb. I mean, this lady is something special. We're just. Oh, Young Bucks caught her. Look at that. Oh, she reversed it into a toss. And another one into her octopus stretch. Commentary's not too glorious, isn't it, though?
And knees from Candice too.
Kick her in the face.
Okay.
Nicely timed. Well done. Oh, wow.
Face buster.
When did she become the goddamn best wrestler?
Hey, thanks for the subscription. Middle. It just happened to appear as we were watching this, so. Look at this stuff. Oh, with Steen again, or Kevin Owens, who's got it in the back. Oh, those are a couple of stiff super kicks. Man, I am not a fan of assisted pile drivers. Pile drivers scare the crap out of me, and especially assisted ones. Not everyone should do that. Great DDT. Here comes Owens coming in. That was a nice plant right there. Back on Adam Cole. The balls plex.
Candice very well could have pinned him right there. Now climbing up to the top of the assist from Joey. Here comes
There we go.
into his own corner. Oh my goodness.
There we go. So that was our first Candice video here that I had that I have queued up. I'm gonna go get the other one. More of a highlight reel this one was, but I thought, it was interesting because what I liked here, like I said, that you saw some great moves that she was able to pull, but also some of the stiff stuff that she's fearless, and that's what's great about her. That's what we like, and that's what WWE's sitting on right now. I mean, I get it if they don't want to get into. I get it if they don't want to get into intergender wrestling, at least not right now, because it's very much I can understand that on a mainstream media vision of things, intergender wrestling is going to be extremely controversial, and maybe it's something that WWE isn't ready to deal with yet. But she doesn't have to fight guys. You can just let her loose on the other women. There are girls in there in NXT right now. Deonna Purrazzo's there. Let's not forget that. Kairi Sane, Shayna now. Could you imagine? You just let Candice and Shayna go at it. Like, for real. Just give them like a 15-minute match. Honestly, I think that's coming up. I really think that's something on the way for Shayna, because it makes a ton of sense for Candice and Shayna Baszler to go at each other. It'd be an astoundingly good match. But let's move on. Let's see what's going on over here in chat. Metal says, honestly, Candice is the baddest woman in WWE, and they use her so bad. I agree with that. He says, the first match I ever saw of hers was the world's cutest tag team versus the Bucks, and it made me a fan of all four. She had such a good pairing with Joey Ryan. It was such a good pairing. I mean, I wish I could be more eloquent, but they worked really well together. Their styles complemented each other really perfectly. They both had very, very well-defined characters. And it's funny to think that, Candice was the thug of the team. She was the one that you'd send in to clean house and make sure, everyone was properly taken out. It was a good dynamic. It was a fun team. All right. So what we're going to look at now is Candice LeRae versus Johnny Gargano at Absolute Intense Wrestling. I got this off their YouTube channel, AI Wrestling. Go subscribe. It's a fun channel. There's lots of great free stuff that they have available here. So we're going to just, again, take a look at this seminal match, boyfriend versus girlfriend. Should be a lot of fun. From 3 years ago already. Johnny rocking the semi AJ Styles hair at the time. The king of Cleveland. Is that really something? Yeah, is that something you want to carry around? is that a thing? Is that a moniker you really want to hang around? Oh, you wish you had his hair, Wilfred. You wish. Here's another interesting tidbit. I don't want to go off too much on Johnny Gargano here, but interesting to think that it'll be interesting to see what they do exactly with this character now if they're turning him heel. I still have doubts. I think Johnny Gargano saw an opportunity in the Aleister Black situation to position himself better, but I really don't think he's the guy who took him out. And I said on Twitter and in my 205 Live NXT recap, and that the question I'm asking myself about Johnny taking out Aleister Black isn't as much why, Johnny, why, but how, Johnny, how? How did you knock out Aleister Black so bad that he's been gone for months? Maybe he did send Candice after him. I feel like Candice could take Aleister more than Johnny could. No disrespect. But it kind of does make sense. All right, side headlock here by our good Candice here. Gargano picks her up. Can't get out. Into the ropes. Flips on the other side. Candice comes back and tosses him over into a pinning combination. Almost had a couple of exchanges there for some pins. Oh, little sunset flip pin there. Didn't get quite all of it there, but hey, we'll forgive him. Into the ropes. And there goes the Hurricane Ranas. That was beautiful. Beautiful stuff. Over the top rope. Lands on the apron. And the snapshot spear, but she knocked his teeth in. Over the... And dives. A beautiful dive to the floor.
Well, I don't know about Johnny Wrestling getting schooled here.
Candice has been in control, hasn't she? For the better part of this match. There we go. Into the ring. She's heading up top. Candice heading to the top rope. And another Hurricane Rana. Woo. Never mind super kick parties. Give me Hurricane Rana parties. Into the rope. She goes for a kick. Johnny catches the foot. Has her by the... Oh, is he going to slug his wife? Is he going to slug her? He can't do it. He can't do it. But she'll chop the shit out of his chest, though. Look at that. Johnny, you're too much of a good guy. Too much of a good guy. Oh. Oh, did he say sorry? He did call out sorry. He said sorry just before he delivered that kick. He's such a nice guy. How are they doing the baby? How are they doing the heel thing in NXT now? It's not going to catch on. Or maybe it will. Like I said, I have faith in NXT Creative, but he apologized before kicking his girlfriend in the face. I personally don't. I never do that.
Hey, and congratulations on getting her banned.
He has her up in a slam position. Body slam to the mat. Cover? What, Johnny? That doesn't get a 1. What are you talking about, Gargano? Covering Candice after a... Oh, we're gonna get a couple of ads here. I don't know if you want to play the Panzer game, but I sure don't. Going to start twisting her around into like a cloverleaf straight. Oh my. Oh my. That's a nice submission maneuver there. He got her arm pinned under between his leg and thigh. I know my body parts: legs, thighs, arms, elbows. Those are pretty much all the ones you need to know. Knees. I think the most important body part is the fingers. Back in the corner again. Oh, yanks her off into a to a spear position, but she wiggles out, ducks, and into her octopus hold. Well done. As Michael Cole would say, vintage Candice LeRae. Oh! Oh, she has him in the Gargano escape. Look at that. Well, that was nicely done, wasn't it? From the octopus hole into a tornado DDT and into the Gargano escape. And man, that face crusher, that was harsh. Oh! Has her up. And she reverses into another DDT. Wow. Yeah. Only gets 2. Wow. I'm going to take a sip.
You know what?
That was crazy.
You talk about it because you know about having a strong pin hand.
What is Candice going to do next? She's heading up top. Heading up top. Or, yeah, there she is. She's taking her time, but shows Johnny he's on rubber legs. Crushes her.
That was so easy, it should have hurt her nuts. Oh, Johnny, get up there.
Oh, Johnny's going up. Gonna wrap her around his back. Oh, into a fireman's carry. What it? Oh, and she, look at those elbows. Wow. More shenanigans. The fireman's carry thing is not working. This feels like a Hurricane Rana coming up, folks. 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay. Oh. Okay, so it's that spot that we saw previously in the highlight reel. Woo! That is hardcore. That's crazy.
Where are we at now?
Chad, are you still around? Are you alive for this? This is crazy.
Look at that smile. I don't blame him. She was hitting him in the ear. That's the worst feeling in the world.
Chad, the crowd is going for a dip. This is awesome. Tim says, I give this match 15.5 out of 20. I have no... This is... What kind of scale is this, Tim? What are you talking about? 15.5 out of 20.
Get that guy in a wheelchair out the way.
Look at that. Okay, they're setting up the guardrail. What is happening here?
What is he doing? Great respectful fans here. Yeah. Is he gonna powerbomb them on the floor?
What is he planning? They're back both up on the apron. Gargano has her up into, once again, a fireman's carry and more elbows. She's wriggling out of there. She just just crotched him on the barricade. That is unforgiving because it's a steel barricade, and as you know, steel is always unforgiving. Tope into a tornado DDT onto... They look like they're in a gymnasium on like hardwood. There's no protection.
I told you she was impressive.
Man.
I didn't expect that. Oh, I wasn't ready for all this. First we get one.
Jacob's still around. He says he's still here just watching the match. I'm glad you're still here. Look, this is a fun match. This is a lot of fun. The crowd's appreciative, and they better be. Could you imagine? This was in 2015. We're 3 years later. These guys are stars. They're huge stars. Man. How much? Cost you maybe like $20 to get in the crossbody flipped over. Oh, and we get another commercial. Another ad here. Well, but that's okay. You know, AI Wrestling, they deserve their money. Panzer Rush, folks, play it. Anyway, he rolls through the crossbody, has her picked up into the fireman's carry again. Oh, and she... A reverse Frankensteiner? I guess you'd call it. Whoo. Whoo. Whoo, boy. Whoo. Wow. That was amazing.
Kick him in the head. Don't wait for it. Just start kicking.
And here comes the ballplex, I guess.
Her partner, Joy Ryan,
Nope.
does it to ladies. She might as well do it to men. Corner. Up. Oh, no way.
Whoa, running sit-out powerbomb.
Are you?
Only gets 2 because Candice LeRae is tougher than you. I was going to show you. I had that written up on the Warren board. It's not a whiteboard, by the way. It's called a Warren board. Mother always said branding is important, but you can't see it right now because we're watching this match instead, which is much more exciting than watching the Warren board. Let's be frank.
Why would his family's coming here to see him beat up a woman? That's questionable. Actually, it's not. My
He's
family
setting up, obviously winding up a super kick, and he can't do it. He loves her too much. What a softie.
Is she saying sorry? Yeah, that's right.
Oh, and she's flipping him off. She's saying, do it, you son
She's
of a
sucking him
bitch.
in. Oh, wow. Oh, Jesus. What is this? Is this a violent
There we go, the violence party.
girl? Likes to party all the time. Oh, no. Pushing her up. Still right into
Oh, man.
Super Dragon will be happy.
Give it Johnny the Cleveland Steamer.
That is amazing. Oh, there was the super kick. That connected, didn't it? Has her up top again.
Here we go. Good night. Oh,
There, lawn dart.
far until he breaks. It's like Ray Rice.
Oh, 2.9.
You gotta be kidding.
Whew.
Look, Johnny Gargano, he might have to be
Pikachu Kid could have a seat, though.
shows after that.
There, someone tell. There you go. Thank you.
Well, it's a mandatory 6 in the NFL now. But
Nice little storytelling there. A nice bit of storytelling. Where Johnny's like, no, he loves his wife. He doesn't want to mercilessly beat her up, but she's like, fuck you, kick me, man. Oh, a couple of shoulders to the face. Oh!
How is she still standing? Most men were not.
And little reversing into the balls. Plex into the turnbuckles.
Just see the way Johnny's head snapped. What the fuck is going on?
And then another reverse Frankensteiner. Oh my god.
this match is hot.
This is really something else. This is fantastic.
They better buy this on Smart Mark Video. I'll tell you right now.
Eddie, when was the last time?
Killing himself.
When was the last time you were a fan
They're
of?
both back up.
Because I feel like you and me are fans.
Candice going to the ropes, holding on. She has had him in a wrist lock. Back into a fireman's carry. Oh no, she's reversed. She's reversed. Oh, she tried to reverse. It didn't quite work. That was a nice little sequence. And another 2.9, and Johnny's like, what's it gonna take? What's it gonna take to put her away? You should know, man, you married her.
This match is making me a fan again. I'm not even joking.
That's fantastic.
Laughing. I don't get paid to smile and laugh.
Jacob Barton just jumped into the chat, says, I can't see Johnny Wrestling be a bad guy, really, after seeing this because he's so nice. Also, not everyone can be a bad guy. And I agree. I agree.
Oh no!
And roll up. Ugh!
That's Johnny's move, I heard.
Ducks a kick. Balls plex again. No. He lifts her back up. And she rolls him up. 2. And she got him with a roll up. What a fantastic fight that was. Got him nice and clean in the middle of the ring. Good job. Good job, Candice LeRae. Oh, that was fun. That was a lot of fun. Jacob says, I can't. He just to finish off what he was. I'll read the tweet, not the tweet, but the comment he left in chat. He said, I can't see Johnny Wrestling be a bad guy really after seeing this. He's too nice. Also, not everyone can be a bad guy, and he's right. Not everyone can be a heel. And what made Johnny Gargano so spectacular in NXT, and what still makes him so spectacular, is how much of a pure babyface he is and how wonderfully he was booked in that position. Whereas here, whereas right now, being a heel, I don't see exactly where they're going to go with this. But I have faith in NXT Creative. Because let's not forget, I mean, the heel turn makes sense in the way... the heel turn makes sense in the way that, let's not forget that Johnny is responsible for Aleister Black losing his title to Tommaso Ciampa. Let's keep that in mind. It's his fault. And Full Sail was they were kind of turning on Johnny at that point. Remember? They were, it's the Johnny loser, you fucked up. They weren't being all very kind to him. So maybe NXT is reading the room and like, well, if they want to boo him, let's give him a reason to jeer and boo at him. Let's give him a reason to hate him. Let's have him go after Aleister Black. That's fantastic. Because, WWE has a tendency to not necessarily listen to the room. And they pull off some weird decisions, like turning Becky Lynch a heel. Although, you can argue she's not exactly a heel. But that's a whole other conversation for a whole other stream. The surprise Sunday stream, folks, is going to come to an end right now. I hope, you know what? This felt nice and loose. Felt good. Just sitting around with a couple of wrestling pals in the chat, watching some wrestling together. Maybe I should do this again sometime. This was cool. This was a lot of fun. Reminded us why Candice LeRae is so fantastic and how she deserves to be the best in NXT. We deserve to see her more. We deserve to be in a position to cheer for her and want her to go forward. Whether it's against guys or girls, it doesn't matter. WWE have a fantastic talent on their roster right now that they have to put to good use. They have to. So this isn't about crapping on WWE right now. This is about Candice LeRae, how fantastic she is and how great we know, how wonderful and shiny and bright and awesome her future is, regardless of what happens. Regardless of what happens. Guys, gals, thank you so very much for coming over on my surprise Sunday stream. This is fun. We're going to do it again soon. I promise that. We'll see you again sometime, at least on Monday, for my Raw recap. So be there to join me. Thanks again, everyone. We'll see you soon.